Blah, 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 blah. Hello wonderful people, Connor Whitmore here again with another video for you on the Naughty Step channel, and it is time for another extra Naughties monthly roundup. July, often the biggest month of the year when it comes to bass music, and music at large actually, if we're being honest, and that is reflected somewhat here in this video with 24 mini reviews that we're going to get through, and a load more extra mentions to come at the end, those which I didn't have quite enough to say about them to mention them in the main part of the video, but which I still recommend you guys check out. And the main reviews, the mini reviews here, covered in alphabetical order by way of artist name, as usual. Loads of big names on show yet again. It is just that time of year. But yeah, people, you know how we do. Let's go. And kicking off this installment, the new album from ALEPH on Vision Recordings, Sepulchre, which is a very nice listen. I think it showcases ALEPH's sound really well. It's immersive, detailed, intricate, stunning production as per from him. That industrial, experimental, hybrid bass music kind of mix. Bits of house, bits of garage in there as well. Not stacked, I don't think, with memorable material, but there are top tracks here from Gradient to Small Pieces. If you want, then quite a few beyond that as well, which are also very good. And just super engaging sonically, I think. Just on the year, this album really does lock you in from start to finish. And just as a final note with it, just happy that Vision took it on. I think it's a perfect fit. ALEPH's music, Vision as a label overall. So yeah, a lot of good going for this LP. Next up, collaborative LP between Alix, Perez and Headland. My god, what a combination to have over the course of a whole LP. The atmospheres we get here, the texture of the sound and the production, how dark everything is, menacing, grainy, gravelly, all that good stuff. And great ideas as well, like Mirage Part 2, you got the title track, Coco a little bit more towards the end, and even the ones I think here that are maybe a little bit less active, not quite as much going on conceptually, still have got quite a lot of depth and character about them that add that body to the collection overall. So yeah, this one also pretty good. Then we have another album from ALRT, which isn't bad. It does feel a little bit like the same kind of energy again and again, track on track, over and over, more like a compilation than an album, if I'm being honest, something that he has fallen prey to before in the past. But there are good tracks here. You got Familiar, New Hype, Make You Move, Air Drums, the first half in particular for me, they're very good. And the energy within each cut is top, you know, I like that about it. The energy is kept up well, but given that we've got 15 cuts here, it does feel like a little bit of a slog and gets a little bit exhausting as it goes on. New EP from AVANCE, which I think I'm right in saying is the first one on Phase 1's new label, Sounds of Mayhem. Could be wrong, but think I'm right about that. But anyway, I was quite hopeful for it after hearing the Virus Syndicate collab from a couple of months ago, which I found to be quite creative on his part. You know, the instrumental there in that track, pretty fun, but this EP isn't really anything I haven't heard before. I mean, it is well made, to be fair. The heavy aspect of it is done really well. The impact is there when it maybe hasn't quite been there for him before, you know, really does that well here, but it just feels quite starved of ingenuity, exciting ideas, personality, just again anything kind of new. I mean, why would I go back to these tracks again and again where I feel there are loads of others that sound very, very similar, if not pretty much exactly the same conceptually. So yeah, one of the better overly heavy dubstep compilations, I think, this new one from Bypass Audio, which doesn't have the most inventive or exciting ideas on show front to finish overall, but they're mostly made really well. Again, kind of similar to the Advance, you can really feel the impact of most of these tunes when a lot of dubstep of this kind that comes out today, the idea might be there, but the production really lacks and gives it a flatness that means you can't feel the full force of it. And there are some sick tracks here on this compilation from Vide, I think, Lex, Mic Shift, and Genesis at the end with the D&B as well, just to provide a little bit of variety. So yeah, a decent comp. Another compilation, this time from Crowsnest Audio, and there aren't many tracks of the 13 that I'm loving here or feel like I want to go back to again and again. I think if the Crowsnest sound and aesthetic is your favourite or right up there for you, then you're going to love this compilation. I think it delivers a lot of that loud death step in your face, you know, alarming kind of vibe, but it's a little bit much for me. The Inhuman and Disinity collaboration is easily mile and away the best for me on that front when it comes to that approach. And then you got the Bloodset and Death Channel as well, which is quite unique within the compilation in terms of what it provides stylistically. But yeah, overall, just a little bit much on the ears. New EP from Daeya, or Daeya, please do let me know how to pronounce it, formerly known as DDD, of course. But yeah, this EP starts really well with Sanctuary Garden, gorgeous track, melodically, vocal samples, the drops have got that kind of uplifting, surging feel about them, really nice. I think beyond that, it can be quite difficult to stick with the following three that we get. There are quite a lot of detours, the tracks are really long and drawn out, which can be good, but they do overstay their welcome just a little bit for me. The production can get a bit clunky, but you know, it does have quite a nice bright journeying vibe about it. Just certain elements here and there, you know, consistently over the course of the EP that do bring it down a bit. Couldn't not shout out this new EP from PRAVUM, or PRAVUM, new alias of Disphing, I think, underground dubstep producer. 3 tracks, self-titled, and some great material on it on this collection. Very fine detail dubstep music, really tight with the execution, quite a lot being thrown at you, but given that how much is going on, just really well put together. And yeah, great moments here, great sounds, and just one of the best in the underground. That was a good rhyme. But yeah, on a real, if you haven't checked out Disphing or PRAVUM, this EP, it's only 3 tracks like I said, so yeah, not too long, but get checking it out and get following. Classic Franky Nuts for his latest EP, very wobbly dubstep, you got melodies, he's whipping out the vocoder. All the vocals here are pretty catchy, I think, and the drops fit well with them, with those vocals for the most part. They're good tracks without quite being any of his best, I wouldn't say. But I mean, yeah, if you like his style, again, that wavy, wobbly, kind of fruity, colourful kind of approach he goes for, there's a lot to get out of it for you. And I think for me personally, this is just an EP that's going to grow on me quite a bit more as I go back to it more, which I will be doing because of those vocals and the drops fitting them quite well, like I said. So yeah, good EP. Decent mini compilation here from Full Flex Audio, really enjoying the variety that we get from track to track. There are 5 that we get here. My favourite would definitely be The Secrecy, which to me feels most like a kind of complete package in terms of an idea, execution, combination. Quite thrilling as well conceptually. But yeah, really enjoying the second half of Pandemonium as well, and the Acrasia that we get at the end is quite enveloping and all-consuming. I like it for that. But yeah, good stuff here in amidst the 5 we get. A selection of housey bops from Jauz, which is mostly very ordinary, I'm gonna have to say. I mean, just very safe ideas, a lot of flat production to go with that across the 8 that we get. Just quite run-of-the-mill feeling for the most part, this collection. But Lights Go Out is lovely. I like that tune quite a bit. I think track 2, and Who You Are is decent as well. So there is some good in amongst the meh. Following that, we have another new project from Jorei. Yeah, I know, another one. But again here, to be honest, I was finding myself enjoying the energy, the liveliness of her style, but it's just still far too random for me to get lots out of it, if I'm being honest. I mean, she was beginning to make really catchy ideas earlier this year where I felt a little bit more engaged, like I could follow the music, but there's just not that much evidence of that here, maybe aside from Knox 4, I think it is, or Knox 4th. Again, it's fun, but just so all over the place to the extent that I just really don't feel like I can get into it. New EP from KERO, which I put in my EPs of the year so far video, which I think tells you a lot across the 4 tracks we get here. Different kinds of colour bass inspired, driven, influenced dubstep, fantastic production for the most part, really full of life and flavour, good vocals all around as well, pretty much start to finish. A couple dips, a couple moments here where you're like, oh, bit flat, not quite working as well, but for the most part, very accomplished as a 4-track EP. If you haven't heard it yet, please do check it out. Then, new compilation from Neoluminum, who are one of the most exciting, lesser-known labels in bass music, I would have to say. And here, quite a stealthy compilation, 25 tracks, hour-and-a-half long, but good variety, I think, across the whole thing. And some good tracks here. For me in particular, DezX, Easy Password, The Real Madman, and Turbo Fury as a collaboration. And then the X a little bit later on, which is for me one of the very best that I've heard on this label so far. Very, very good, very clean. I'm liking that one quite a bit. But yeah, quite a high standard here on this compilation, I think, given how lesser known and kind of underground Neoluminum are. Just one for the future, this label. You can see the improvement release on release, and one to listen to and check out this compilation and beyond. Go and do so. Moving on, collaborative EP between Nightmare and Big Gigantic. Not really sure what Nightmare's style is anymore, or at the moment, given he's mostly collaborations. The Big Gigantic input, the jazzy input from him is quite clear, but it just makes it quite difficult to kind of work out what the split is within each tune here. Who's doing what, given, yeah, not really sure what Nightmare is about anymore. And I mean, yeah, there are a couple of okay ideas here. Disconnected as a house cut kind of sticks out, but the execution front to back pretty much is so flat that the impact and the oomph of these ideas, of these concepts, is just quite lost. I mean, yeah, a couple of flashes here and there, but mostly this EP, the 5 cuts we get, just quite tepid in feel, if I'm being honest. A solid compilation from Partica artist group. Yeah, just quite a lot of typically fun and bouncy Partica leaning kind of material. My favourite here from St. Miller. Loving the savagery of that one as it goes on, the second half that we get here. Also the first half of the Tenuous and Avago, that's great. And the Waste Yourself and Girth as a collaboration is very good as well. But generally here, just loving the upbeat feel, the quirkiness, the colour across the 9 or 11 I think we get here. It's one of the two, but yeah, it's going to be up there, this compilation, with the best in bass music of this year, I think. New mini compilation from Reinelex. Yeah, all 5 tracks here are good in several ways without quite being great overall. Production really sharp, emphatic, impactful across the board. Love these tracks for that, but the drops here just aren't particularly unique or stand out or memorable or kind of singling themselves out with that much individuality per se. I think the Butte noise at the end definitely gets closest in terms of idea and execution as a combination, but yeah, for the most part here, just wanting to edge them and push them that little bit further on the conceptual front. You know, I was wondering when REZZ might switch her style up notably, and to be fair, she does here with that soft rock, emo leaning kind of approach that we get quite a bit of on this EP. Not that it's all that good or particularly memorable with the concepts we get here, the vocals as well, and the usual mid-tempo material that she goes for, which we also get a bit of here, doesn't have that much of a spark either, so just left a little bit curious as to where she goes from here. Because if I'm being honest, from my perspective hearing it, in my opinion, it's been a few years of mostly mid output from her. This is one of the most underwhelming remix compilations, or just compilations overall, in bass music this year so far. And there are big names here. You got Leotrix, Chibs, Daeya, Cyclops, a couple of others here and there, but pretty much start to finish just so bereft of invention, ingenuity, unpredictability, just things to get you excited about this style of music. It's just very without that for the most part. I mean, if I had to really sum it up, it's just a lot of what I dislike about what dubstep has become in this last half decade or so. Just so without character or anything kind of resembling that for the most part. Yeah, pretty good, this remix EP from Sharks, Skybreak and Paper Skies, with an incredibly electrifying start from Nasco. Great dynamic between everything going on there, and there is a lot going on, and just really well assembled, again, for how much is being thrown at the listener and being put together, but really they're all quite compelling in their own ways, like the Sharks one. The fact it's D&B in itself is pretty cool, refashioning the original in that way. The Akuto, very powerful as well, and then the Mar6 is just quite striking and just another reminder that Mar6 really is one for the future, one to look out for. Just super colourful and compelling music generally, so go and give Mar6 a follow if you can. But yeah, a good remix EP. Haven't had that many of them this year, so this is one of the best of that kind for sure. New compilation from Sleeveless Records, which is another solid compilation, I would have to say. Quite a few tracks of the 12 here that I'm digging quite a bit. You got that jumpy, fuzzy kind of opener from REZZ and Nautical Divine, which is a great way to kick it off. The Mythm and Abstract Sonance is another solid collaboration that comes straight after that, track number 2. Then you got the Stylist solo track, you got the Stylist and Mucky Update collaboration, The Innocent, the Brainwaves as well. Quite a few good tracks here, quite a few wobbly little tuners that are perking the ears up, getting me excited. Get your ears around this compilation if you haven't checked it out yet. New EP from Sora, Cyclops Recordings, opening couple of tracks here, just a little bit too simple drops wise conceptually, I would have to say, but the closer really does round off the 3 we get here very well. It's got that gloomy but warm and comforting dubstep trap kind of blend about it, with a very soothing flow, just keeping it bobbing along really nicely. But yeah, overall here with the 3 we get, vocal sampling very good, cut really well, arranged really well, got that futuristic kind of feel and theme about it as well, which is gorgeous. on the ear. But yeah, just wish that opening couplet, that opening two, just a bit more adventurous on the conceptual front. Penultimately, new EP from Turney and Sound, which is for me another case of all the tracks being good without quite being great. So kicking off with Intent, which feels a little bit stop-start with the ideas we get. Then the Return following that, where the percussion just deflates the overall sound a bit. Specimen loses steam in the second half, and Pulsating Mass just feels a little bit indecisive with what it's going for with the focal points, the heavier moments. But the foundation with each cut, with all 4 tunes we get here, is really there. It's just a couple of things with each one, just pulling them back a little bit, stopping them from being elite when they are already very, very good. And I also just love the idea here of doing 2 collaborations with each producer that they are working with here. So you got Cursor, Buka's Finest, Cursor, Buka's Finest. Just a cool idea, I think, for an EP. Please don't get me wrong, has its drawbacks, but still very good. And finally here today for this video, going to be talking about what is actually my favourite Tisoki project in quite a while. It just feels a bit more considered for him. You know, often his tracks, I think, can just jump way too quickly from one section to another. Gives this feeling of them being a bit hurried, a bit rushed, just over before they truly get going. But these are a lot more drawn out, they're mellower, more somber, a bit more heartfelt with the emotion. And that suits his style, his appeal, his approach really well, I think. And that is mapped out really effectively over the course of this EP. And then to go with that, the classic from him, kind of impeccable arrangement. And there are good concepts and vocals here as well. I think in particular, that middle 3 of the 5 we get just really typify that style, that approach, that aesthetic that he has gone for with this EP. So yeah, really good stuff, and we'd love to hear more kind of stuff in this leaning from him going forward. But there we have it, guys, the July 2023 edition of the Extra Naughties Monthly Roundup. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. But now, as promised, the extra mention's going to put them up on the screen right here, right now, for you all to see. And yep, if you want to take a screenshot, note them down, pause the video, I do recommend you guys check these ones out. Don't forget, there are tens of others that I left out because I don't think they offer all that much, if I'm being honest. So yeah, these ones are still ones that I recommend you check out if and when you have the time to do so. EPs, albums, compilations, the lot. But with regards to what I reviewed in this video, the mini reviews, the main part of this video, which ones did you enjoy? Which others not so much? Are there any that I missed out? Let me know in the comments section down below. Beyond that, again, thank you very much for watching. My Patreon and social media accounts are linked down below in the description, and I shall see you all in the next one, wherever that might be. Keep it naughty until then. Peace.